This is Full Spectrum Warrior, which is a game made by the American military, but for both commercial and training purposes. I'll say I don't want to celebrate the Army or war, so I'll say something nasty about it after I talk about this game. Just to assure you that I'm not trying to applaud this stuff. But this is a very different game than Castlevania for this reason, that in this game I actually don't control one character, I control a whole squad of these soldiers and give them orders. And those guys, just like Alucard knows how to jump and swing his sword, they know much deeper stuff. They have the professional knowledge of a soldier. So, for example, in this game, they have to move from cover to cover safely. You can't lose any one of them. If any one of them gets shot, you have to take them to get them healed or the game is over. And they have to go solve problems, but they can't expose themselves to fire. And it turns out, I mean, I didn't know this, there's about, many different formations they can take depending on the environments they're in. And so when I started this game, I have no idea what those are. I've never been a soldier. I spent my life trying to avoid being a soldier. I was on the way to Canada at one time. All right. But the thing is, they all know the formations. They've got artificial intelligence, and so you order them to take a given formation. It might be the wrong one, get them killed, but they go out and do it. They do it just right, then they all die. But so in the beginning of this game, see, you don't have any knowledge, but they have a bunch of military knowledge. And then you explore it a bit, and you find out what the formations are. Pretty soon you've got some knowledge, and they've got some knowledge, and now you're being professional soldiers together, right? Just like we could have been professional vampire hunters. So just as I said, Alucard didn't know anything about his profession. These guys know everything about their profession. So here's the type of thing. These guys are out here. This is a command to tell them to go take a V formation. And they will actually not only take that formation, but as they take it, this guy will protect these guys. They know the whole military thing, right? You just have to be able to give them good orders, right? See, we would be doing much better in Iraq had we played this game. Here's a quote from the manual, right? It says, you command this light infantry squad, a highly trained group of soldiers who understand how to operate in a hostile, highly populated environment. Everything about your squad, from the soldiers to its equipment staff, is the result of careful plan. Notice what that's saying. They're saying that these unreal guys are just chock full of knowledge. They're a fully trained group of people, right? And it says, respect that experience, since it's what will keep your soldiers alive. Here it says, moving safely in the environment is the most important element of successful command. The soldiers in your teams have been trained in movement formations, so your role is to select the best position for them in the field. They will automatically move to the formation selected and take up their scanning sectors, each man covering an arc of view. See, so think about this. This is now a whole different league. When I said Alucard and I played Castlevania, now me and these guys play war, but they know a lot more than just gaming skills like jumping. They know professional practice. Furthermore, in a game like this, I can start with zero knowledge and build up knowledge because they have enough and I can use them to learn from. So it allows for a very powerful learning principle, performance before competence. See, this allows me to learn how the value system and the skills of a professional military person when I don't know any at all, without having to read a book about it, because they know it. And as I coordinate with them and explore stuff, I begin to learn a lot, and then pretty soon in the beginning I'm contributing zero and they're contributing everything. And then by the time I get good at the game, I'm contributing about half the knowledge, I'm making good choices, I'm understanding strategy, and they're contributing half, and now we're a real team. And now we're vampire hunters. We're doing something that's professional. Now, the other thing that's interesting about this type of game, and there's a whole many types, SWAT 4 is another example of this, notice that since these guys have professional knowledge and not just gaming knowledge, you have to play this game by their value system, right? So, for example, here's just one example. It turns out that it's a rule in professional military practice of these guys, that have different military use different doctrine, that you cannot shoot a gun while you're moving. This, by the way, in most video games, that's the funnest thing, right? Rambo, you're running around shooting all the time. Turns out you can't do that. That is against the rules. You have to be in a stable position to shoot. So, and the game is built in such a way that it will not allow you to play it other than by operating by the value system of those soldiers, the actual professional practice. So in a sense, part of the fun of this game is trying to achieve the problem solutions within the constraints that they tell you, like you can't go out in the street and shoot people, you can't run and shoot. You have to, so it's added a whole new set of constraints. All right, so here we have a quite different situation, unlike the one with Castlevania, in which the soldiers and me play this game, but in which we share not just gaming skills, we share actual professional practice skills. Something now we could be we could construct this type of game. Alucard and I could have been professional vampire hunters. I don't know what skills they have. But at any rate, if we were going to build one, he would have had to have some of them. I would have had to be able to learn some from him, and then we would have shared them and been really good vampire hunters. But they didn't build that game. All right. Now, because this is now going to get wildly misleading, because you're going to think I'm pro-military, I'm going to say a couple of things. Remember, I started this by saying that we're talking about the potential, not the reality. This is something that we can do see, think about this. This is a way to teach people something quite deep. Namely, what are the skills of a professional soldier, and what does the world look like to when you're being one of these soldiers, you learn a whole new way of looking at the world. You have to look at the environment as a cover and places you can move from cover to cover. It gives you a whole different way to look at the environment, and you have to know how to look at the environment that way or you die. Right? So it teaches you the content, the skills, and the value system of a particular profession without having to sit reading a bunch of books, but by performance before competence. The trouble with it is that the commercial industry is good at doing this for professions that involve killing. But we don't do it for professions that don't involve killing, but it would be exactly the same. So in our group in Madison, we make a game, we try to make games like this, where the professional knowledge shared by the characters and the player is not killing people, but something like urban planning or biology or engineering, right? But it's the same principle. You want the learner to be able to have performance before competence, share the smart tools of the characters they're controlling, learn how to look at the world in a different way, learn how to, and to operate and solve problems within the value system of that profession. So the potential here is to do this without these being the only things. Now, if you are a gamer and you want to, this is a fairly good game, but I would suggest even more that you play SWAT 4. SWAT 4 is a brilliant example of how you will learn the value system and the way of looking at the world of a SWAT team member when you start out knowing absolutely nothing, because you will control very smart characters who eventually share professional knowledge and value systems with you. And it's a good example. Now, the other thing to say here is that these type of games now, where you're sharing, where you're taking this cognitive effect of melding with characters through a professional set of skills, are made by the military because they see this as the best way of training people. They see it as a lot better than using flip charts, books, and sitting in lectures, right? But what they didn't realize, and the American military has realized, is this type of training, when you went to Iraq, to attack Iraq, was inadequate because it was only half of the story. It showed you how to fight a war and win a war, but it didn't show you how to make a peace and to make culture, right? Because the only expertise here is military expertise. There isn't peacemaking expertise. There isn't cultural expertise. So today, the American military is making a game called Tactical Iraqi, in which people learn Arabic and learn the culture of Iraq so that they can interact with Iraqis and talk to them without pissing them off. Right? Now, that's really the horse out of the barn too late. Right? That's exactly what should have been, made long before. Right? But you can see it's the same example. We didn't there. What you share with the character you're controlling is a set of skills about how to use a language in a culturally understanding way that makes peace and not war with people. There's also a game called A Force More Powerful that uses exactly this to teach people how to bring democracy and make peace in situations that are under dictatorial control without using warfare. Right? So the basic principle doesn't have to be this commercial one. Oh, by the way, these are fun games. I'm not against killing people in video games. What I'm suggesting is that the principles can go much further, but they're probably going to be taken further by people in universities, not by the commercial industry. All right, so what a game like Full Spectrum Warrior